How are y'all doing this morning? Good. Good. Well, we're going to do a little session on essay writing 101 today. So first, I'm curious, how many of you are all of you seniors? Everyone in the room? Okay. Who has started the process of writing your college essay? Good. Excellent. All right. Okay. Well, we get a lot of questions about the essay as a part of the admissions process. And probably the one question that we get the most is, does it matter? Does it matter in the college application process? Do you read it? Is another one that we get. And the answer to both of those questions is yes. We do read it. For every student who submits an application to us, we are going to read every piece that you send to us, including the essay. And yes, it can matter in the process. Now I say can. Now, if you're academically just not competitive, if the academics just don't measure up to kind of what we see in the majority of our pool, your essay isn't going to be the thing that's going to make the difference. So I guess you could say in the application process, it's not going to raise the dead. If the academics aren't there, it's not going to make a difference. But the interesting thing is in our pool, I would say the majority of applications we read are in the ballgame. They're somewhere in there, they're strong academics, they present a really strong application, and they're somewhere in the mix, okay? And when that's the case, we're going to be looking at all of the other factors to determine who we're going to admit and who we're not going to admit. So teacher recommendations are going to be a part of that equation. So are your extracurricular activities. And yes, that's where the essay will play a role as well. So when you're kind of in the mix academically, when your academics are strong like the rest of our pool, then that's when the essay can make a difference. Now, we get a lot of questions about what our average GPA is and what our average SAT score is. But very rarely do I get the question, what type of person are you looking for? And the thing is we want smart people, and we want people who are going to be able to excel academically, but we also want people who are going to be people of honor, who are going to be good roommates, who are going to have good personalities, who are going to be passionate about aspects of their life and aspects of our school. We want interesting people at UVA. And the essay is one place when you can tell me about you, and you can kind of fill in that blank for me, okay? Now, we spend about 15 to 20 minutes on each application that goes through. We're looking at your transcript, we're looking at your school profile, your recs, your extracurriculars, what your guidance counselor says. But the essay is the one time in the application process when I'm going to sit back in my chair and let you talk to me. All right? So it is important. It is your one way to kind of show your voice to me. Okay? So in that way, it does play a role. It does play a role, and it's a way for you to communicate something about yourself that I may not be seeing quite as much in the rest of your application. It's a way to show me your personality, to show me who you are. So it is the one time where you're going to have a chance to talk to me. And it's also kind of one of the few areas over which you have control right now as a senior. There's a lot that you don't have control over. You can't change your grades from sophomore year. You can't really change your activity list because most of it's already, you're already done 3 years of your activities. But your essay is an important part of the application that you can make a difference with right now. So it's definitely, I know it's in some ways a little daunting to think about it, but at the same time it's kind of empowering because this is something that you can control right now. And I'm going to try to help you guys understand how you can have an essay that's going to make a difference in the process, okay? Now, first of all, have you guys started thinking about topics for essays? Okay, so throw out, raise your hands, but give me some ideas of what you think would be a good essay topic. Anyone? Don't be afraid. Yes?
A personal experience.
Personal experience, absolutely. That's a good one. Yes?
Or some aspect of it.
A person that's affected you. Yeah, I got an example of one of those to read today. Yep, definitely. Yes?
A topic no one else has had before.
A topic that no one else, a unique topic, absolutely. Anything else? Now, I saw a lot of hands going up saying you've already working on your essay, so you should already have some ideas. Don't be afraid. Maybe a few more. Yes?
A funny story.
Funny story, yeah, especially if you're a funny person. That's funny. Humor is good if you're a humorous person, absolutely. One more. Okay.
Favorite word?
Favorite word, absolutely. In fact, we used to have a short answer about that topic exactly. Now, did I say any of those topics were bad? Because there's no such thing as a bad topic. Well, within the realm of appropriateness, we'll say. Obviously there are some inappropriate topics, but I've been reading essays for 17 years now, and I could count on one hand the number of essays that would fit into that category, okay? So, sky's the limit. You can write about anything. You can write about, good essays I've read good essays about chairs. I've read good essays about building sandcastles with a younger sibling. I've read good essays about just about anything, about hometowns, about nature, about community service, about athletics, about, art, you name it, relationships. There's no, within the realm of appropriateness, there's no such thing as a bad topic. So I know you stress a lot about topic, but don't. You can write about anything that you feel is important to you, okay? Now, just to kind of warm things up, I'm going to read an essay, just part of it. And I just want to get some of your observations about this particular essay, okay? So I'm just going to read the beginning and the end. Okay. I felt the ebony pavement rip the skin from my elbows as I fell for the 800th time that day. Having landed face first on the ground, I slowly raised my head to glare upon evil in its purest form, the source of my 6-year-old tribulations, my Achilles heel, my sworn enemy. Just as my vision began to blur with tears, a pair of strong arms scooped me up and put me back on my feet. My opponent was a fluorescent green bicycle. My ally was my father. He had been my comrade against all my other previous life struggles, like talking, walking, and eating with a fork. But now he was my Churchill, and I his Roosevelt, as we sought to defeat the Hitler of all two-wheeled vehicles. And I'm going to skip to the end here. One way or another, my dad has been letting go of my bike and watching me ride away my whole life. But I couldn't have even gotten the kickstand up without him. I can't count how many times he has picked me up, brushed me off, and helped me to laugh at myself. He has never let me give up, always giving me the courage to pedal through whatever obstacle I encounter. I thank him profusely for that. His advice and guidance are the nuts and bolts of the fluorescent green frame that is my life. His love is the tire that never stops spinning. Helping me to become who I am today, he has given me the strength and confidence to go wherever I want in my life, and that has influenced me exponentially. So what's this essay about? His dad. Do you think we get a lot of essays about people's parents or someone that they admire? We do. Now, UVA is a common application school, and actually one of the prompts on the common application says that you can write about a person or something that has influenced you greatly. So this is a very common topic for us. What did you think of the essay? What are your observations? Yes?
Descriptive.
Very descriptive. Yes. Yes.
It had a lot of references to history.
To history? Yeah, you heard Churchill and Roosevelt. You kind of brought in a little bit. Showed his, maybe his knowledge is kind of greater than some, maybe.
Kind of made an analogy of his life as a bicycle.
Yeah, made an analogy of his life with the bicycle. Exactly. That's neat. Anything else? Yeah?
Use hyperbole to make a big picture.
Absolutely. Yep. Could you kind of see the bicycle? What else?
Metaphor?
Metaphors, definitely, yeah. So if you read this essay, if you were the college admissions committee, what would have been your take on this essay? What do you think? Would you have given it a thumbs up or thumbs down? Give me some thumbs up. Yeah. Anyone else? Not really here. Why not?
I thought that it was really, I mean, like to them it probably felt original, but it doesn't really set them apart, and you don't really get a sense of them as an individual person. That's just sort of like a really anonymous, anyone can think of that and reference that.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Did you want?
I think maybe one problem with it is that it focuses a lot on like their childhood, and then it kind of goes into a vague sense of them as like a teen, but it doesn't really ever pick something like them right now to kind of give an example of how they actually are.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other comments on it? What do you think? Generally, like, by a show of hands, how many people would have rated this essay highly? How many people wouldn't? How many people don't know? This actually is an essay. I think it's interesting, the not so positive feedback. And you're right, it doesn't tell me necessarily something about him now. But I would generally, probably, personally rate this pretty highly in the realm of essays that we see. But it's always a matter of personal opinion, and there's no wrong opinion on whether or not this is a good essay or not. But the descriptiveness makes it interesting, and it takes the topic that we see a lot and made it a little bit different. So what I'm trying to say is it's not topic that's going to make the difference. It's how you approach your topic that matters. I read extraordinary essays about community service every year. But I read some that are not good either. I read great essays about playing soccer every year. But I also read some that aren't great every year. It's not the topic. It's how the student goes about approaching the topic that's going to make the difference in the essay. Okay, so that's in essay writing number 101, that's my number one rule to you. Okay? Don't worry so much about your topic. All right? It's not the topic, it's how you approach your topic that's going to make the difference in your application. Now, I find that oftentimes when you're thinking about, how to write your college essay, sometimes it's a good idea to begin with what not to do. So I'm going to talk a little bit about maybe some not good approaches to begin with. I will give you one example from an essay, but I'm always reluctant to read essays that maybe I don't necessarily think are that strong, because the karma thing. I don't want to get bad karma reading essays and basically advertising people who didn't do a great job. But I will give you some really good ideas about what's not a good essay, or how maybe not a good approach to an essay. Okay. Now, one of the deans in our office always talks about a MIC essay. All right, and I'm going to give you an example right now, just from me kind of talking off the cuff of how I might describe a MIC essay. All right. So let's say do I have any soccer players? Anyone play soccer? Okay. So say you decided to write about soccer for your essay. One approach you might take is you could say, soccer is a sport that carries a great deal of meaning to me and has taught me a great deal in my life. Soccer has taught me perseverance, it's taught me the value of hard work, and it's taught me how to be a leader. So that's my introduction. That's my first paragraph, my thesis statement in my first paragraph. Second paragraph might begin, soccer has taught me a great deal of perseverance. And then you might tell me a story about how soccer has taught you perseverance, about how you might not have made the JV team your first time out, and how you worked extra hard to make it the next time. And then you might talk about, in the next paragraph, about how soccer has taught you hard work. And you might talk about how you were not the regional champions one year, and your team worked extra hard and had morning practices, and